Hello, everybody. I am Tim Schafer. I was the project leader on Full Throttle, and welcome to this exciting commentary.
I'm Larry Ahern, and I was lead animator.
I'm Casey Ackley. I was production manager.
I'm Stephen Shaw, and I was the lead programmer.
I'm Peter McConnell, and I was the composer.
And I'm Clint Bajakian, and lead sound designer.
Is there a reason you're not doing it like Drunk History?
Would you like a drink? Because we have.
Wouldn't that be funny? No, not right now. I think we come up with a lot more stories.
Yeah, we'll do that for our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Drunk game commentary. All right, you guys. So this is our dramatic intro to the game. We want to be super cinematic, and it has the fabulous voice of Roy Conrad, the late great Roy Conrad. And now we're getting into our celebrity voiceover. Anyone know who the celebrity is?
Yes.
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill as Ripburger, super evil.
He does a great job.
He's amazing.
He sure does.
We knew a little bit that he would do a great job, not just from the Star Wars stuff, but he was already the Joker at this time. He's already the Joker in one of the animated TV series.
Wow.
So who was Corley?
Malcolm Corley was Hamilton Camp. Hamilton Camp, who was also passed away, unfortunately. There's my what?
Oh, yeah, you got to go back to that. It's
Tim's
little
little
gold
butt.
Tim.
Little gold Tim butt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there'll be a glory shot of that later.
That was a Charlie Ramos.
I remember Peter McConnell making fun of me for the destabilizing inner ear condition line. Here goes Ben Throttle. Now, this is... are we using the Rebel Assault engine yet? Oh, wait,
Yeah,
my nude scene's coming up.
Here we
Everybody
go.
cover your eyes. Nobody look.
There it is.
Oh, there it is, right.
The only
Decent
difference...
exposure.
Yeah, you're welcome, everybody, for that. And some great Gone Jackals music comes in here. This is still an introduction that I love to watch because it was really different than Day of the Tentacle, which is our last game, where we had a lot of trouble just getting the founding fathers to animate as they jumped out the window when you chopped down when you scared them out of the Constitutional Congress. Moving that many pixels of the screen was impossible, but this time we were using the Rebel Assault engine, which was called what?
Smush. Yeah.
And Steve,
Well,
how
it's
did
the Insane Engine.
wait? Now what? Okay,
Right,
you tell us what was
right,
going on
The
here.
Insane Engine, it was the Insane Engine, and Smush was the tool that you created the Insane
Okay.
streams with.
So this came about because of the advent of CD-ROMs, which had basically infinite storage compared to what we're used to on the 3.5-inch. Oh, look at these amazing credits. There comes Steve's.
Glory shot.
Yeah, nice. Of course.
Try getting these today in Call of Duty or what have you.
What, opening credits?
Yeah.
I love opening credits. I guess I feel like they just set the mood.
Yeah.
And they, Brian Rich. They set the mood and they make you feel like you're going to see something awesome and epic. You know?
Absolutely.
So you get to hear all this awesome music.
Live band.
So CD-ROMs came out and Myst was a big hit, and then Lucas made Rebel Assault, which was like took 3D rendered trenches, and you could fight TIE fighters in these trenches, right?
Right.
And then we're like, we'll take that.
Yeah, Vince came up with the streaming engine and did really well, and he kept doing improvements on it for Rebel Assault 1, Rebel Assault 2, et cetera, and this got put into here and to do the movies.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling at the time because he's like, look, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to store the data for one frame, and then the next frame, it's not going to have the whole frame. It's only going to have the data that changed. And we're like, what? That's a compression idea that has never been. That's crazy. So it allowed us to like do full screen animation. Like this. And I'm sorry about telling this story, but we were talking about making a movie of this with MTV. Do you remember that? MTV wanted to put this on liquid television, and I was in MTV in New York, and I was talking to a guy about it, and he was saying that he was playing this intro to the game, and that Mike Judge had walked by. Mike Judge was doing Beavis and Butthead at the time, and he walked by and he stopped and he walked back in. He listened. He's like, "Did that guy just say, whenever I smell asshole, I think of Wayne?" And that's what I think of whenever I hear that line. And I had to tell that story. We probably can't use that story in the commentary, though. But now you know.
Sure you can. So here, there's a puzzle where you kick open the door after this cutscene, right? You kick open the door.
Kick open the door was just like a kind of a character setting thing for us. We always talked about how, Bernard Bernoulli and Day of the Tentacle, if he had if he had to like get through a locked door and all he had was a bologna sandwich, that he would figure out a way of like putting the mayonnaise on the floor and sliding the bread under and then taking the toothpick and poking the key through the hole and dropping it and then pulling, and then Ben Throttle would just eat the sandwich and kick the door down. And that was like how we were like expressing character through puzzle design in these games.
Which is why this game is 2 hours long.
It's why it's a little shorter.
40.
I remember for Casey, it was Tim Wrangler.
Tim Wrangler. But this wasn't, it was Grim where you were like listed as pre-production.
I was the production manager on Full Throttle.
Okay.
Although I love
And
the
then
name of the title producer, I was really disappointed.
Wait, who was the producer? Did we have?
Well,
We
Lucas
didn't have a producer.
didn't have producers.
We had a project leader.
And actually, when we did have producers, I remember that didn't help so much because it would be somebody that was on like half time or less.
It was me and Wayne splitting all the projects down the middle.
As producer, you mean?
The very beginning, yeah.
Tucker can, if we still don't respect producers around here, we still treat them like, right?
Tim Wrangler now. Good work with that.
That's a more prestigious title than producer.
One of the really fun things about sound design for this game is Michael and Peter and I would occasionally have lunch with Gary Rydstrom, who was a sound designer up at Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound, and he did the sound for Titanic and Jurassic Park and Saving Private Ryan, come on, this was one of the very top sound designers in the world, and just having conversations with him. That's when we decided to really record a lot of the sounds originally. Go out in the field with mobile recording rigs and then also combining things creatively. People all talk about it today, but back then it was a little bit new, I think, in the games industry to say, combine the lion roar with the kickstart of the bike, for example.
Yeah, this was definitely the first game we did it on because playing Dot recently, I was like, I think these all came off a CD. I think all the sound effects in Dot, there's a lot of like
we
from
were lucky to even
a cartoon sound effects
have those.
library, and then immediately with Throttle, it's like you started the bees in the jar.
yeah.
I always talk about the bees in the jar because I always thought that was so funny that like you got 4 motorcycle sounds out of like the 4 different motorcycle tribes, the gangs in the game. You had the bees in the jar that were slowed down a lot for the Rottweilers and sped up a lot for the cavefish.
Yeah.
So do you remember the components of like Ben's bike?
Well, Ben's, we hired a biker from San Francisco who had a Harley chopper.
Very customized.
Very not painted. It was all just sort of nickel colored and straight pipes, which basically were like cannons going off every stroke. And there's just so many stories about that whole recording session.
Set off car alarms in his neighborhood when he drove through it.
Set off car alarms, and he was the real deal too. I mean, he had a couple bikes, but he brought that one up to Marin, and we had a whole long recording session, and that ended up being Ben's bike.
Wait, I want to hear about how you got the bees in the jar.
Oh, I think that was a library.
That
sound.
actually was a library sound, but we used a lot of
I thought you captured all the bees. It must have taken all day.
Heard a lot.
I remember Gary Rydstrom came around and actually looked at the game when we were working on it.
That's right. He liked a couple things. Yeah, in fact, he complimented. I had looped a tiger growl and looped it for an element when the bike is just idling, and he goes, "Nice loop." That's one of the things you just.
But whatever, I thought there was a donkey bang and
there were
a jet
all
engine and a
kinds
line
of
roar.
things,
So those are the other biker gangs, not Ben's
Yeah,
bike?
yeah. In Ben's bike, the main thing was the lion when he kicks it over. The lion roar with the sound of a bike being kicked over. And then the purring. It was not a purr, but it's kind of like a throaty growl of the tiger for when it's just idling.
I remember the dumbest things, like the back of the bar where the dumpster is. I just remember telling Peter Chan to get rid of the ladder. Like he had a ladder there that went up onto the roof, and that was part of the learning. Like you can't put interesting things in adventure games because like the player's going to want to go up that ladder and climb up there, and so he had to paint it out. He was so mad about that. But and I think of this room where we started talking about how did we do a game that stylized. Do you remember this, Larry? Like stylized, like but not a cartoon for kids. Because we didn't want to go quote unquote realistic, but we wanted to do something that was more adult. And remember, you guys talked a lot about Mike Mignola and Hellboy,
at Hellboy
and how things disappeared into the blackness a lot. And so you can see in the bar, there's a lot up in the TV and the pipes and stuff. It just kind of disappears into nothingness. And there's the bartender's name is Quahog. I don't know if that comes up ever in the game, but his name is always Quahog, which is like from Moby Dick. It's how Queequeg misspells his own name when he signs into the log of the ship.
Okay. Yeah, whenever I would do a search on it, I would always get Queequeg. I'm like, is that supposed to be? Because I remember you saying it was related to that. And then working with the animation team trying to do the high-res versions of all these characters, every time I got an email about it, it was spelled differently.
Yeah.
It's Quoog. It's Queeg.
Oh man, dream sequence.
I remember this scene was literally tossed together in about an hour. We need something in here after the wreck.
You mean lovingly crafted?
Lovingly, yes.
in an hour.
Sorry, is that what's supposed to be on the commentary about how much effort was put into these? A lot of it was we had such a tiny team, and we're going, the whole thing will be fully animated. It'll be crazy.
Watching this, I'm realizing, like, after Day of the Tentacle, where we had just 3 full-screen animations in the whole game, like, what did we sit down and say, like, hey, this next game is going to be crazy, and we're going to have all these full-screen animations the entire time?
Yeah, we said it was going to be a completely cinematic thing. Everything, there's going to be scenes.
I don't remember realizing what we were taking on in the beginning.
No, we had no
idea. Which is probably the special talent I have that lets me do with these games, which is to not think about what this is going to entail.
Because we would basically plan out the scene, and about the only thing I remember doing to try to keep it reasonable was saying, if we edit enough, no one shot will have that much animation in it. Just as the animation's getting complicated, cut to another angle, you know. Right. But still, the scene was going to last X amount of frames long. It's like somewhere in there, you're going to have to animate something. Yeah. So we just did a lot of fast-cutting MTV-style stuff, and we kept saying, well, if you cut to a close-up of the face, then not much is moving.
Like, if you do a master shot and have a bunch of people doing stuff in it, that would take forever to animate. People picking up objects, putting them down, lip-syncing. But if you cut to just someone's eyes moving slightly, it's more dramatic, and it is less.
Yeah, so it was always like, the guy that's swinging the wrench at the thing that's going to blow up, you'd get him to start to move, and then you'd show the reaction of the guy being surprised. And then you hear boom, and then you cut back in the little wisp of smoke.
Yeah, you remember how we got the rock and roll to sound so good in the game?
Oh, we just deliberately distorted it?
Yeah, we turned it up because of the low sample rate. We turned it up so it was about 50% too hot.
Clipping.
So it was clipping, so all the waveforms were being chopped.
Right.
For all you audio geeks out there. It's a real no-no. But it sounded good. The best way to do it for that particular sound.
Well, since we're talking about Smush, which originated, I believe, with Rebel Assault, right? With Vince, in an earlier incarnation at least. And Vince liked to do everything himself, and we were a little miffed in the sound department because we found out that he had dubbed the Star Wars main theme himself using a boombox.
Right.
And the headphone output.
Right.
So, more geeky audio stuff, but basically a headphone signal is an amplified signal, right, to drive the headphones. And he put that right into the computer, to the Sound Blaster card, and sampled it. And it sounded really big and huge and over the top. And we said, Vince, let people do this who know how. So we couldn't get it to sound as good as he had it, no matter what we did. And then I finally realized the only way to get it to sound better, or even just a little better than what he had, was to deliberately clip it and overdrive the analog signal and overdrive everything.
Chan does a lot of designs where you can see, like, the story of the town is that it's sunk. There's obviously a building that was here before, and it just sunk, and they're just like, screw it, let's build another house on top of it. And they just build another one. Like a lot of he does a lot of double houses. There's some of that in Psychonauts, like roofs upon roofs.
Smart.
Remember this was one of our big things, was changing the interface, so we get a full screen game this time around, as opposed to Day of the Tentacle, where you had to look up and down. But in this game, we wanted there's a theory that, like, you should have the interface where people's eyeballs are, and their eyeballs on the cursor, so to speak, the interface pop up on the cursor. And I remember that you hadn't seen that a lot. I think at the same time, you guys over at Lucas Learning were doing, remember the secret project? The secret library archive project? There was you guys were doing one where the interface popped up near the cursor?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that was cutting edge, you guys. Cutting edge cursors. I have an electrician friend who yelled at me for using the term subcode wiring. He's like, that's not something electricians would ever say.
So we lost a lot of electrician fans.
We lost, yeah. But, Ben's not an electrician. What are you going to say?
This is the first scene that you hear the Chitlins Whiskey and Skirt song.
Yeah. That's my favorite song.
Increased chances. Yeah. Well, it's the great John Spiegel of Chicago, friend of ours.
It creates a narrative problem in the game, though, which is that
post-apocalyptic.
We always like, this is not a post-apocalyptic game. This is just an alternate reality, like an alternate world. Like, there's been no nuclear devastation. This is just a gritty, highway-based part of the country, and in the future. And but a lot of people thought it was like, because it is inspired by Road Warrior a lot in terms of its cinematics, the way it tells the story. But there's nothing post-apocalyptic about it. But that song is all about nuclear, like it's a post-apocalyptic song. And so it kind of feeds into that. So
it's good to create false rumors, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is the first scene we did.
I always thought it
This
was
is the first thing we ever wired up in the game.
Yeah, we did this one specifically for, was it CES or whatever else? And we had to get it done, and we had just the assets for this.
That cracks me up that we made like a 2-room puzzle for CES. Did we do a special version of Ben? Because he's all darkly
black.
lit. We didn't have dynamic lighting back then, did we? Right?
No.
Like nowadays, we'd be painted with a certain color that we would tune up and down. But here, we must have painted a whole other 3D we had in this game.
my God.
Was that the CES, Tim, where we had that guy on the motorcycle out in front of the booth?
I don't remember.
Pretending to be Ben Throttle.
Right.
I didn't know. Did we have a booth babe, dude?
We had a booth dude, and all us ladies were swooning.
I just remember looking at the pictures thinking, that guy
was a hunky Ben.
We all wanted to go take a picture with him.
Looks nothing like someone
Did I even get to go to that CES?
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing any of this. Tell me about it.
Well, it was just a little, booth in the back, but then there was a guy with a motorcycle right out front, and he was totally drawing people in.
Yeah, so where were we with 3D? Like, 3D had already entered the world of games, right? But we were like, no, we love 2D stuff, but we have all these vehicles we have to make.
Dark Forces was just before this, right? Or
it was concurrent.
It was concurrent.
It shipped around the same time.
It shipped around the same time, that's right.
Because we technically shared a wrap
and
party.
that was sort of knocking off Doom to some extent.
It had 3D.
So was Rebel already happening? Because we had a 3D department. There was 3 guys.
Yeah.
I think that's why we had it. What them work was for the Rebel Assault stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. And then, we were talking about there's no way we can draw. We were looking at all the reference material from that anime film Akira. All the motorcycles were there is no way we can draw this stuff by hand. But then we were trying to figure out how do we get it to look 2D and just compressing the heck out of the palette and simplifying it.
This was
because they probably didn't have the cartoon renderers back then, right?
No, we didn't have cell shading or anything like that.
So it's
I remember there was a big struggle was trying to get it to actually match.
Yeah, so we were just trying to limit the palette, and then we had the 3D Ben on the bike, and then we would draw over it.
This was I feel like this is one of the first puzzles we designed for the game, and I have fond feelings about it. I don't know if everyone likes this puzzle; they might hate it, but we were like, this game is not going to have a lot of complicated inventory combining puzzles where you collect a whole bunch of stuff and then put it together in inventory. It's going to be mostly all on the screen. So here you come up and there's a rope, there's a chain you can pull and it opens the gate, but then you can't keep it open when you run through it. And the trick is to do something counterintuitive. You have to lock the gate. And I was so happy with that because it was all just right on the screen. You didn't have one inventory item, which is the lock. But then again, some people like all puzzles, hate that puzzle. So, I like it. There's my car, my actual car.
There.
So
that's the Timmobile?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have that car?
It's in a garage in Reading because I was driving. I bought the car for my dad, which is his '69 Le Mans, which is it looks like a GTO. It's a really fun car to have. And then I go at lunch one day with a bunch of LucasArts coworkers in it. Someone before I started it, someone was like, "Do you smell gas?" And I was like, "No, you're silly." And I started it, and then boom.
That was me and Michelle Harrell.
Yeah, and you remember black smoke came out
Yeah,
of the defroster
and we
bin.
just died. It's
and
a
everybody was
convertible.
Like, yeah, we had John. I was like, get out of the car.
Jump it out.
Jumped out. And I run to this jewelry store to use 911. And secretly, I've been wanting to call 911 all my life, right? Like you just be like, oh, someday I'm going to. So I call it.
And they're like, you're at the jewelry store. Is there a robbery? What's going on?
And I ran back to the car, and there was a pool of fire underneath the car. And there were already fire people there, like firefighters there, because I was across the street from the fire department. I could have just run. I could have run to the fire department and bring them over. And anyway, they put out the fire, and then it was really bad. There's bubbles embedded in the windshield from just the heat. Jeez. And you guys went. You guys go back to the office. So you guys went back to the office while I hung around with the tow truck. And you told Peter Chan what had happened. And so Peter Chan happened to be painting this art. And so he's like, well, I guess Tim Scar's toast. I'll put it in the junkyard. And he painted my beautiful car in the junkyard.
That was when you actually had to run somewhere to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you notice the tattoo foreshadowing on Maureen's? She's got a little bit of a vulture's tattoo because it's like a big. Oh, yep. Spoilers! I won't say in case you're playing this game and you don't know. But there's some foreshadowing right there.
By the way, I had somebody contact me a couple months ago asking for the definitive version of the vulture's tattoo because she was going to get.
Oh my god!
Wow.
And I was feeling terrible because
she's
going to ink it on her, and I'm like, I don't know. There's the pixelated version, but it's so messed up. And then there's a sketch that I have, but it's not the final one because I think trying to translate it to pixels and then shrinking it down, a lot of that didn't read. So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I don't know what to tell her, which is the official one because it's kind of. I just sent her a bunch of stuff and said, take your best guess. I don't know.
I feel like we were watching, started watching a lot of Hong Kong movies at this point because there's a lot of that like reflection in the toaster. Right. You see the bad guys coming is taken right out of either Hong Kong movies or Hard Target, which was the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
All right.
We saw right when we were making this. So,
also easier to animate the villain really small in a reflection.
Yeah, and wiggly in a toaster.
I wonder how many people say they use Hard Target as their inspiration.
Basically, this is Hard Target, the game. And
I think only 2 people were inspired by Hard Target, Von Damme and Tim.
Oh my gosh,
Mumbly
Peg.
Oh, I remember programming Mumbly Peg.
News to me. Did you come up with that?
No, that was Anson. I love that.
Did we
Look
call
at the guy's hair.
Yeah.
Did we call them mini games? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Like Whack-A-Rat and Sam and Max. I mean,
it was also an Easter egg because if you go up and talk to him, it doesn't happen. It was a weird compromise because like, should we have this bloody thing just be possible for everyone to do? Like, no, let's cut it. No, let's put it in. Okay, it's in there, but you have to ask 10 times. By the way, if you're playing this, you should try and ask to play Mumbly Peg 10 times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I wonder if Aliens had already come out, obviously, for like 10 years before this, so we were all, we all knew how to play it from then. But Emma's not very good at it. Look, he keeps stabbing himself.
Yeah.
And it's that piece of art. The piece of art for the Mumbly Peg screen had cuts and notches wherever you could click, including everywhere on the finger, like 3 different notches on every finger, and like 5 stab wounds on the hand. And so if you look at the raw art with all the scars enabled and stuff, it's the most disgusting. Because it looks like someone just like sat there and stabbed their hand over and over and over again. It's like, oh, it's so gross. I think you can get pretty far. I think you can sit there. You only stab your hand like once, I think, and then it cuts away from it. In the remaster, we're going to use that for the options screen. So, yeah.
So I remember when we were in the end of QA and Tim decided to go play pool one night in San Francisco. This was before cell phones. And something came up, and I had to find Tim and bring him back. I think it was for the bunnies. And because there was a bug that had to be fixed, and we had to ship this game. And so all I knew was that Tim had gone to play pool in San Francisco.
Well, I didn't have any work to do.
Right.
So you're basically thumbing through the yellow pages.
I had the phone book, and I called every pool hall in San Francisco looking for him.
This makes me sound like a totally different person
I
than
know. But he wasn't he wasn't in any of them. So then I'm like, okay, so the last pool hall, I said, okay, so maybe he's in a bar with a pool table. Can you tell me the name of a bar that has a pool table? And he did. And then I looked that up, and I called that. And then when he wasn't there, I just kept doing that until finally...
Are you kidding me?
Finally, I found him in some bar with a pool table.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was a kilowatt.
When he picked up the bar phone, he was terrified. Because he was like, how did you find
Actually, I don't remember this. This is crazy. I can't believe you found me by calling random bars. It makes me sound way cooler than I am, too. I like this. But what could I have done? I wasn't programming.
I want to know how she described
Actually,
it.
I did program for the bunnies.
It was something that you had to make a call on.
It was
something.
my actual bug.
Yeah, it was either your bug or you had to make a decision right then and there as to what we were going to do.
Bunnies in or out. Now, this is the
Angry.
area where we were originally going to have the whole Ricky Myron section, right?
We were jumping over.
Yeah,
you have
jumping
a gorge. We do have that here with the gorge.
Oh, yeah.
You jump over.
No, but there was the stunt show and the whole Ricky Myron character stuff.
Ricky Myron, by the way, is a kid I went to. I was in 4th grade,
Oh, yeah?
and we're on the playground, and I had this rock, and for no reason at all, I want to see how high I could throw this rock in the air, and I threw it as high as I could, and it came down, and it hit Ricky Myron in the head. And he was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "You know what? Someday I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to
Put you in the game.
I'll make it up to you.
I'm going to put you in the game, and then I'm going to cut you out of the game.
Yep. You're going to be referenced, but you're going to be a great daredevil.
Lots of interesting backstory because it was the stuff we cut. Remember, because the game was getting so huge, and we're like, we'll never finish this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was that and one other section. We were looking for stuff to cut, and everything was too interconnected to everything else. And we're like, we can't cut anything except the Ricky Myron section. That's kind of its own piece.
Maureen. Do you guys remember where we stole Ben's bike from?
Was it Akira?
It's basically the clown bike in Akira.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the mine road.
Which is funny.
Mine Road.
All the art reference that we got from that film, I still never actually saw that.
We've still never seen Akira?
No.
This is
Poyahoga was something
right.
we cut. There was a whole other town called Poyahoga, which you found out is going to be an Indian word for "don't drink the water; it's poisonous."
All right.
And there was another gang there called the Water Skeeters, and we have a lot of concert for them.
That was
and the
nice.
Water Skeeters,
Yeah.
and they had a set of wheels. They had these pontoons that would come out and they would float on the water and ride their motorcycles on the water.
That got cut pretty early, though. But that would have been fun.
And this is a pretty ambitious game. Like I feel like on every level we were
a long
just like.
conversation.
We got in way over.
Well, now, does anyone remember?
Well, I mean, I think we were thinking about things like for me, I was thinking about Road Warrior and Yojimbo, because Road Warrior, I just love the way it's just dramatic, gritty story being told, like an opera almost, and then Yojimbo is just the stoic hero. You've seen Yojimbo with Toshiro Mifune is like this really stoic main character who's not like a big tough guy who really shows off a lot, but he's really quiet until he goes and then he goes and kills 20 samurai, just really quickly, and Ben was really. Inspired by him, and then I got the screenplay for the Road Warrior somewhere, and in the first shot of it, Mad Max, like he gets to a fork in the road, he doesn't know where to drive to, and he pulls over and he finds a wreck of a car and he takes a bumper off of it and he throws it in the air, and wherever the bumper lands, he drives off that way, which is exactly how Yojimbo starts, with him doing it with a stick. And I was like, I knew it. I knew this is all one big part of this generalized lone hero thing going on.
We were looking at Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name stuff too. Everybody squints like Clint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, easier to animate, right?
Yeah,
They squint.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim, chainsaw.
What?
I threw a party at my house, which was up in the woods in Nicasio.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in the middle of a
And we
forest.
couldn't get to it.
And it had a long driveway that went through the forest.
Right.
And we had a terrible storm, and it was pitch dark. And the first person to arrive at my party was Tim, driving alone. And he came up to a fallen tree across the driveway. And I emerge with a chainsaw running in my hand and go walking up to
And a mask
to
made
Tim.
of human flesh.
And I go walking up to Tim, and you were genuinely scared. Because he had read about stuff like this.
Up in the woods of Nicasia.
That guy's got
I remember that party.
That was fun.
Star Wars Rebel
That was a good party.
tattoo on his.
There's the sound of you driving over a rough road. Here.
Yeah.
Steve, I remember you were duly hard on me to get that sound right of the tire going over those reflectors in the center of the road. And it's true. It makes that sound. We all know that sound. It's like it sort of sounds like puck. Puck, 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 puck. And I have to admit, I had a really hard time making that sound. Finally, one time I was just driving and holding my arm out the window of my truck, with a microphone and running over those things. I don't know if I ended up using those, but it was a tough sound to make, to get it right.
Yeah, where is this place? It's just like a circle of
Do we
bikers randomly driving.
Well, it's like Highway 9. Actually, I wonder if there's a highway called Highway 9 on the way down this like Santa Cruz that bikers love. It's an actual like biker road where bikers go on a lot, and there's a lot of biker bars on the way and stuff. So that's real. That's right out of the pages of California history.
Is that 17 that you're talking
It's
about?
off of 17. Or it's the mountain road that you would take next to 92 and Highway 1.
I remember going into Tim's office at one point as the deadline was looming, saying, "Tim, you got to cut the mine road or the bunnies."
I remember
He's like, "I'm not cutting either one."
Mine road or the bunnies?
Yeah, I'm like, "You got to cut one, Tim. Something's got to go."
We had already cut so much on this game. I was like, "We can't cut anymore." And the bunnies are crucial to the narrative. This is the last game I ever programmed on, I believe. I remember doing Ben crawling all over the semi and doing the bunny stuff, which is maybe why it was such a problem. This is an interesting a transition for me in learning about schedules and how terrible and hard they are. Because Day of the Tentacle, I feel like was the last game we did that was on time.
Yeah.
It was not a breeze, but it was like no crunch mode, followed the schedule. And part of that is because we had an extra 6 months at the end because of adding the voice we had.
Right.
But and this was the first game that went way over budget that I worked on. And and first time I had a producer, which is Casey. So she would come in, and I just remember you asked
like a specter.
Yeah, she'd come in and be like, Tim, when is this going to be done? And I just remember that weird feeling and I told this to you, like, I don't know how to express this, but I feel like you come in and ask me that question, and then I look over to the place where that information is, and I see this empty box with cobwebs in it. And then I come back, I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, when is it that George came down and spoke to us all, and he said he had his 55% rule? There was a game that precipitated that.
I thought it was 40. If you get 45% of what you want, then you're...
No, 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was 55. No, it was just over half. He goes, if you got this great idea and you think it's going to be killer, and through the realities of relegating it with a team and all the collaboration, all the technical limitations, you get it to 55% of relegating your concept, the audience will get it. And it's time to let go and ship your products, folks. Like, come on.
Right.
This is a business after all.
I want to talk about Roy Conrad because we listened to a lot of audition tapes for this game, and everyone you tell them they're going to be a biker does this really, like tough. That was my tough guy voice. Like, trying to be super tough. And it always came through as trying to be tough, and I didn't like any of them. And then we heard Roy's voice, and it is really deep and tough sounding, but he's kind of gentle about it, and there's something about the fact that he's not trying to sound tough that just made us love it all right away. The second he started talking, we were like, yeah, Ben.
Such a great voice.
And he looked nothing like the character.
No, he looked like a dad, like a gentle,
kindly old
fatherly. Dad. Do you remember going to Skywalker Ranch to record a video that was for marketing purposes, which was the Gone Jackals playing? And I don't know what, this is for some B-roll that we recorded for marketing use, but they also took a picture of the band, and they made a leather jacket that said Full Throttle on it. And we filmed them playing in the same sound stages that the London Symphony Orchestra did Star Wars music on. Mm-hmm. And I just remember they came in and they wanted to pose with their bikes on the soundstage. And so they rolled, there was like the night watchman who was like letting us into the building. We had permission to be in there, but he like saw the motorcycles getting wheeled in. He's like, are those okay being indoors? And like, yeah. He said, and he asked we had these actual biker guys who own the bikes, wheel them in. And he's like, I think a leak on the woods, a hardwood floor in here. And the biker guy was just like, she'll leave her mark.
Well, that's a good segue.
But it's no big deal.
Velvet Underground just wouldn't have worked for this.
Oh yeah, so originally we were trying to get music. We were thinking about getting licensed music, and we talked to some record companies, and they offered us for free the entire catalog of the Velvet Underground,
which was such cool music.
Which we loved. But I was like, I don't know if this fits the biker theme.
But you gotta put.
And then also like the Clash was one of them offered to because they were shipping a box set of these things.
Yeah, I think the Clash was. But
and then what we wanted was we wanted Soundgarden. Or I wanted Soundgarden because they had a song called Kickstand, and it's set in the Kickstand, and that song Kickstand was so perfect for it. So, shall I tell the story? We went down to L.A.
Yes.
Me and Jack Sorensen went down to L.A. to go to A&M Records to try and get them to give us... And we hadn't done any licensed music, really, at all, except for, like, Star Wars music. And we showed the game to them. We showed them the CS demo with the gas siphoning and stuff. And it was these young executives there like, this is really cool. We really like it. And then like the big guy showed up, and I think he was like either A or M.
I recall the story being Mr. M.
Mr. M came in, and he sat down, and the younger guy was like, okay, Tim, why don't you tell him all about the game? And Mr. M was like, no, I want to hear from you. Tell me why you thought this was a good idea. And so he was putting his own guy on the ringer, like, why'd you bring me in this meeting? And we talked about it. And actually, they were kind of into it until when Jack was talking, they realized that we weren't going to pay them any money. We just wanted to get the song. We were trying to explain that it was going to be
exposure for them.
Yeah.
There's George.
George Lucas in the left.
Oh, that's right.
It's just a lookalike.
That's awesome.
No, that's not George. It's
somebody in a George costume.
I love the hair.
See, they're all in disguise. Maureen's got a wig on.
There was a local radio DJ named Alex Bennett who was a big fan of Data Tentacle. And he was a fan of ours. We got him to do the voice of the stadium announcer.
That's right.
That's Alex Bennett. He was like the Howard Stern before Howard Stern,
Yeah.
as I think you would say.
Mm-hmm. Didn't we get him to do some sort of PR thing on his show?
I got to go on the show and promote.
Oh, right.
Wasn't he at the
He was at the
He
rap
was
party.
at the rap party too. Yeah. He was an institution in San Francisco radio.
Yes, he was.
KMEL and all these different stations.
Live 105. Yeah.
105. Yeah, he was a big deal, and he got his voice in the game. Okay, I have to talk about this puzzle because it's causing me a lot of grief. This is the second puzzle everyone gets stuck on, and they hate and they get really angry.
One.
So the puzzle is supposed to be that you have to line up your knees, your eyes with a crack on the wall, and the puzzle is supposed to be that Maureen wasn't a grown-up woman at that time. She was only a 4-year-old girl, so the crack should be much lower, and if you go there and kick it, it works. But we're worried people would just brute force it and kick everything, so we made it so you couldn't kick it unless all these gauges were all lined up, which is a little contrived. And so, but that's where I learned the rule of adventure games. If it's possible at all to brute force something, they will do it. They'll be like, well, I guess I just got to kick every pixel on this wall. And so people would kick every pixel and be like, why did you make that stupid puzzle where you have to kick every pixel? And I'm like, it was supposed to be this other thing.
Supposed to figure it out.
You're supposed to think the way I thought about it. And so that was a big learning experience for me.
Where'd you get the idea of having a New England accent? It's really cool. You know,
Pepperidge Farms guy,
At Pepperidge Farms. I don't here with these bikers.
In this, the voice for this game, I was more removed from it than I would be on future games. I got really involved in the casting.
Okay.
So I was involved in the casting of Ben and stuff, but Tamlin, Neelio, and Chris Brown did a lot of it on their own, and they went and recorded definitely without me. And so I don't remember. And Tamlin's thing was we got to differentiate all these characters.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the crazy accents come from, is like we got to make them stand out from each other.
It worked. They're great.
So at the time, this is the worst thing we could think of to happen, which was that the motorcycle company would start making minivans. Because minivans, I feel like minivans, they're pretty new in the 90s, right?
That's true.
That's when they emerged. They were the epitome of just selling out and living a suburban life.
Yeah, I've got one.
I would love to have one right now. Let me tell you.
Yep.
But that was like the worst vehicle we could think of.
They were really ugly initially, too.
And nowadays it would be like, SUV? No, I don't know. It would be something that would imply that a motorcycle company had sold out completely. Because we were like, how do you make it? Motorcycles, they live with a high-risk situation. How do you really threaten? How do you make something really scary? Like their way of life is going to end, and it's that their favorite motorcycle brand would start making this symbol of normal life. Domesticity,
suburban
exactly.
bliss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maureen is the Kath Soucie does the voice. She has a lot of cartoons. You look at the credits for almost any cartoon you're watching, Kath Soucie will show up. She does a great job with Maureen's voice, and she came back later on Brutal Legend and did Lita Halford. I feel like I remember programming this part too, Because this is all like a reference to Dr. Strangelove. The code that you enter is, I think, preserve our essence.
Yeah,
which is
or
a big
Peter.
Peace on earth, purity of essence.
Yeah,
purity of essence, right? Or peace on earth, something like that.
Mandrake, you ever been a prisoner of war?
Yeah. Why, yes, sir.
Yes, Jack. As a matter of fact, I have.
Again,
so this is a big question for the remaster because the aspect ratio is wider. And one of the puzzles here is as you run out of this, you don't see Ben's bike lurking in the corner. So you try to run for it and then you blow up. But it was a puzzle to you have to walk to the left to pan over to see the Ben's bike. But now I think it's just going to show.
Oh.
And I think the explosion looks like a giant croissant chasing you out of the plane. Watch this. Look for the croissant.
Must have been breakfast.
Here comes. And croissant.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Flaky.
That's my favorite. Okay, that is a favorite.
That's the best shot.
Gerald didn't get enough screen time.
No.
He's one of those guys that was there but didn't really do much.
Yeah.
The sequel, we should make it all about him. Confirmed.
He could be the new Ben from Ben Throttle.
Joe, you remember the scum debug key?
The scum debug key. No. What was the scum debug key?
Wasn't it Control D or something? Matilda?
Oh, after Matilda?
You typed in like Control D Matilda on the keyboard, and they would turn on all the scum jump codes and all the.
Oh. I wonder if that shipped in the game.
It did.
It did? Yeah. Don't try that. Don't try that at home, kids. Control D tilt. No, what?
It's like Control D, and then you type in Matilda.
Control D Matilda. Don't do it. Maureen got her name. Originally, the story had two twins that were the twin daughters of Malcolm Corley, and they're named Maureen and Tina after these two girls who lived in the dorm with me in college. And then we cut Tina. So, sorry, Tina. Celebrity picture.
Haitian political analysis?
That was our custodian. We'd be working late in crunch mode, and the janitor would come by to clean up, and we'd end up talking to him for a long time. His name was Paul. Do you remember Paul? And he had this crazy vacuum cleaner that he wore like a backpack, and he would go down and we would have these long talks with him about Haiti and stuff because I was like, I think we'd seen Serpent in the Rainbow or something. We were like, tell us about the Tonton Macoux. And he would tell us all about the real Haitian politics and stuff, and everyone got in the credits back then. I think this is, I don't know, oh my God, I can't believe I got away with any of that. Like someone complained about not being in credits, I put him in as blind. Oh, what a jerk. Now I totally remember why people hated me. Left the room.
They're all our kitty cats.
Who are all these cats? This is what bothered me.
I've got 3 cats in there.
How come I didn't get
Including
mine?
some red cats.
Yeah, I stand by the statement.
Isn't Gigi?
Mine are Indian dogs. Who is Monkey?
Yeah. Monkey. I forget now.
So, Keith of the Gone Jackals recommended a guy he knew who had a Harley with straight pipes, a big old chopper. And every single cylinder stroke sounded literally like a cannon going off. I mean, literally. And that's Ben's bike. And we did a bunch of pass-bys and starts and all the things that you would do. But the best recording that came out was strapping a Walkman Pro with a cassette. It was a cassette recorder, which was actually really good that it wasn't digital, that it was recording onto magnetic tape because it's such a loud sound pressure. And we strapped it on the back of his bike with a gooseneck going to an SM57, which for audio people who may not know, is often used on a snare drum. It can take a lot of sound pressure level. These mics, you could mic, a cannon.
It was invented for the military.
Oh, really? Was it?
That's what Camden said the other day.
Wow. Okay.
He's probably right.
So I just strapped it on the back of his bike, and he just rode around, and that ended up being the cleanest recordings, the best recordings. We got accelerates, we got steadies, we got all kinds of stuff from that, and much of it was cut in without any processing or pitch shift or anything like that. It was just the sound of that wonderful Harley. So The driver of that almost dumped it though because it started raining, so we had to store it in the LucasArts lobby.
Right.
And
That's it. So
I remember we didn't want to talk about, at one point the schedule had slipped, but I didn't want to talk about how much because I was too scared to think about it. And you're like, do you want to know what the budget is? I'm like, no. And I was like, what is it? No, what is it? It was like, it's $1 million. And it was and we had like gone from Monkey Island, which was, I think it was $200,000, and just had never conceived of money like that before. And like, this game is, it's the first one. It's like, it's $1 million.
You could only whisper the
I remember breaking that mark and everybody talking about like, holy crap.
$1 million
I do.
game.
I remember spending countless hours just staring at the budget, where I'd like have to put in the actuals for the month, and then based off of that, project how the rest was going to change, and add more months and more dollars. And I do remember one time, like right as we were about to ship, I was testing it at home, like all night long, trying to crash it. And I like started to doze off, and my cat walked across the keyboard
I remember that.
and crashed the game.
Oh, that's right, the cat crash bug.
The cat bug.
And we could never, your cat would not
Could
reproduce
not
it for us.
reproduce that bug.
And they were like, well, we've got to fix it. And it's like,
Bring the cat in. Bring the cat in.
Pro. I can't.
Did you thank that
Everybody
cat in the credits?
get a
What was
cat.
the name of
We
that
started
cat?
bringing cats into the pit.
Did you thank it in the credits? What cat was that?
It was Eartha, and she was thanked.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming and doing commentary. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share? How'd you like working on that game?
A lot better than I remembered.
Whoa.
Wait, the game was better than you remembered?
Or working on it was better than you
No,
remembered.
it looks good. It looks pretty good. I'd play that.
yeah, it was really fun. Fun project.
I remembered late on that there was one Easter egg that apparently Clint and Mark Crowley put in.
Oh,
That one night I heard when they were getting punchy.
What
what was
Easter egg
that?
was that?
I don't remember.
The
Actually-
safe.
The
When
safe.
you're punching your code in the safe, if you enter Mark Crowley's birthday, then
Oh,
Can it be said?
do you remember that?
I don't even remember that. This goes to show
Is
you.
that ship in the game?
It's like Kubla
Yes,
Khan.
Oh, man.
because it was the whole thing where we were like saying that we had to know about like every single Easter egg, just
Yeah.
let us know so we knew it was there.
And
And I guess they got punchy and decided to put it in.
Yeah, there must have been some sort of vocal gratification.
Says it's still in
But
there.
all these years later, we're
Just gotta know
grateful.
Mark's
We're
birthday.
grateful that made
You
it
know
in.
Mark Crowley and his birthday, you can find it.
It took us only 2 hours of playthrough to get to the farts. That's not bad.
yeah.